Hi, my name is Marianne Schuler, and the next 4 minutes can literally save your sanity and maybe even your child's life. Because not only will I show you a scientifically proven way to have your child enjoy restful sleep, I will also reveal why standard advice like Ferberizing or co-sleeping can cause long-lasting damage to your child's nervous system. Damage that makes him more susceptible to anxiety disorders and even panic attacks later in life. The information I'm sharing here with you is entirely based on groundbreaking research done by Harvard Medical School and the Stanford Center for Sleep Science and Medicine, along with my over 20 years of experience as a clinical psychologist. But most importantly, I am a mother just like you. And in this presentation, I want to tell you how the fitful sleep of my 3-year-old sweetheart, Lewis, led me to a discovery that has already helped more than 17,643 parents to finally enjoy the restful sleep they have been craving. And Jennifer Williams from New York, who recorded this.
Hey there, look who's sleeping in my arms. This is my son Jacob, who has had trouble staying asleep since birth. Your presentation has been such a blessing to our family and has literally rescued me from the slippery slope of depression. Your step-by-step advice is well-researched, nurturing, and amazingly effective. After using your routine, Jacob was sleeping in 30 minutes. We were in complete shock, and my husband even asked me what we should do now that we have our lives back. I don't know how I can ever thank you enough.
Irene Johnson from Warren, Michigan, sent me this little clip.
Hi, Marianne. So my pediatrician recommended your site. He said that you are spot on with your explanation of how a 4-month-old's sleep changes and that I should follow your advice. And he was totally right. My daughter now sleeps through the night, and it's only because of your tips. I'm also breastfeeding, and I can't thank you enough for encouraging us to work through sleep issues without quitting breastfeeding. I was really right on the verge. I've shared your site with many of my friends with babies, and they all love it too. I hope this video can help spread the word.
Now, don't worry, watching this presentation won't cost you a cent. Even though I'm giving away so much free yet hard to find information, I've been told I should charge for it. So follow it to the end now while it's still online and still free, because the tips it contains will regulate your child's sleeping patterns the holistic way. I'm sure you've already tried other methods, so you know many of them are not just ineffective, but downright dangerous. And why would you risk your little one's health when you can soon enjoy a happier, more relaxing, and easier to parent child who looks forward to his bedtime just as much as you do? Fact is, falling asleep is a habit, and all kids can learn it, no matter their age. I know it's hard to believe, and I would have been the first to doubt it just 1 year back. You see, when Lewis was born, we were on cloud 9. Not only was he the cutest baby we'd ever seen, he was also an amazing sleeper. And while all our friends kept complaining about wakeful nights, we felt we'd won the lottery twice. But during the 4th month, everything changed. All of a sudden, Lewis woke up every 2 hours, sometimes every hour, every single night. And the more tired he was, the faster his wheels were spinning, much like an overwound toy until they crash. At first, we thought it was just a temporary thing, and that we could soon go back to being a happy and well-rested family. But we couldn't have been more wrong. Lewis' sleeping problem continued, and we started growing desperate. What made it even worse was my feeling of guilt. I loved him so much, and now he was suffering and I couldn't help him. What was I doing wrong? Why were we failing so badly at being good parents? I was a psychologist, for crying out loud. Something like this should never happen to me. I was clearly in over my head. It sounds logical looking back, but it took me months to throw in the towel and look for outside help. We went online to find a solution, but it felt like drinking from a fire hose. An avalanche of conflicting information that makes you feel even more lost. And yet, we bought the books, the tapes, and even got a $200 sleep consultation that gave us advice so terrible, we decided not even to try it. I finally hit the breaking point when, after 5 months of sleep deprivation, my husband caught me screaming at Lewis, screaming to keep his mouth shut. I wasn't angry with him. I was angry with myself, and I felt humiliated for being a mean bee who shouted at her own innocent little boy. At that moment, I knew if I didn't take decisive action, if I didn't find a way to restore the sleep of my child, I would either have to check myself into a rehab center or end up divorced. So I reached out to doctors and psychologists I had worked with in the past. The response was overwhelming. Not only did they share their professional experience with me, they also granted me access to their exclusive medical databases. Armed with this knowledge, my real work began. I sifted through hundreds of studies looking for patterns I could work into an easy-to-follow sleep program for my son. And the good news for you is, I managed to find sleep tricks which will instantly calm down your baby. Even better, they work without you buying expensive pacifiers, dangerous swings, or relying on outdated and harmful methods like ferberizing. And I'll share them with you in just a moment. But first, I need to warn you, because in my research, I stumbled onto some shocking information I can't keep from you any longer. The truth is, some ways of sleep training are scientifically proven to cause serious harm to your child, and you need to stop using them right now if you want to protect your little one's health. The most dangerous and yet common method is ferberizing, or letting your child cry himself out. Did you know that the inventor of this method, Richard Ferber, isn't even a psychologist, and that he is trained only in physical but not in mental health? It's a little like a miner trying to play dentist with his power drill. And it gets even worse. Harvard researchers discovered in a recent study that babies who are left crying suffer long-lasting damage to their nervous systems. Worse still, these children are more susceptible in later life to anxiety disorders, including panic attacks. Can it really be a coincidence that anxiety disorders have increased dramatically in recent years as kids raised with ferberizing hit their teens? I sure don't think so. And neither does Margot Sunderland, Director of Education and Training at the Center for Child Mental Health in London. She is even convinced that if you leave your child crying repeatedly without reassurance, his brain will develop less than optimally. It is thus safe to say that ferberizing is dangerous, and you should never use it. The next serious warning concerns the use of baby swings. And I'll keep it short. Never let your child sleep in his swing. This is not just advice from the American Academy of Pediatrics. It's a recommendation by the experts of the Consumer Protection Safety Commission. The sad fact is, every day, more than 5 children under age 5 are treated in emergency care for swing-related accidents, and some of them even die. I feel it is my duty to bring this deadly threat to your attention because nothing is more important than the safety of your child. So now that you know what not to do, let me give you some tips which will immediately help your baby sleep. Here's the first tip. Laugh together. No, this isn't a joke or some weird therapy. Laughter is your most powerful ally against the main reason why your child isn't sleeping. Tension. You see, the world is a scary place for your baby. He doesn't understand most things, and thus anxiety and tension build up during his day. And when it's time to sleep, it keeps him awake or causes terrifying nightmares. No wonder he wakes up crying. Psychologist Dr. Laura Markham calls it your child's emotional backpack, and nothing will help them to release the tension faster than a healthy laugh. I'll share the best ways to make your child laugh later in this presentation. Roberta Edwards put this one trick to the test, and here's what she wrote me. Marianne, you really know what you're talking about with that tension relief. My 14-month-old used to wake up 6 to 7 times before midnight, but now that he gets his giggles in, he sleeps up to 9 hours straight. It's truly a miracle. You're the best. The second tip is about a common mistake I've been guilty of myself. It's to get your little one to go to bed late. You would think he'd be more tired, making things easy for you, but you couldn't be more wrong. Because once your child is up longer than he should be, his body gets flushed by stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, and they keep him going like a double espresso right before bedtime, sabotaging any attempts to put him to sleep. Never let it come so far. The ideal bedtime for your child depends on his age, and I'll tell you all about the details in a bit. But first, let's talk about tip number 3. And many of my friends laugh at me when I tell them about it because it is completely counterintuitive. Yet it's absolutely true. Your child falls asleep the fastest, not in a quiet environment, but in a noisy one. I know it sounds incredible, but hear me out, because I'm not making this up. It's a scientific fact proven in a little-known study done by the Queen Charlotte's Hospital in London. Now, keep in mind, this isn't just any noise Dr. Daniel Moran and his colleagues are talking about here. It's a special noise. And once you play it to your little one, he will feel safe and protected and fall asleep almost instantly. Maureen Simons describes her baby's reaction this way. My 5-month-old Tammy was so clingy and needy, we thought she'd never sleep without us holding and rocking her to sleep. But when we put your miracle sounds on, it was as though someone just flipped a switch. All of a sudden, Tammy was giggling and calming down within minutes, and she even fell asleep soon after. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, this was a lot of information I've shared with you so far, and maybe you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, and that's okay. It's hard to remember it all, especially when you're tired and with a crying baby in your arms. I know how it is, and that's why I've tried to find a solution to make it easy for you. So now you can find all the information shared in this presentation and a lot more in my guide, Baby Sleep Miracle. It is the fastest, easiest, scientifically proven method to solve your baby's sleeping problems once and for all. But before I tell you more about it, I need to make one thing clear. If you are looking for some sort of magic pill, my program is not for you. It is true that it works with surprising speed for almost everyone who tries it, but only if you let it. Therefore, there are some simple steps you'll need to follow, or otherwise it will fail you. And the last thing I want to do is disappoint you. So let's take a look at what you'll discover in Baby Sleep Miracle.